Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today what I've decided to do was kind of do a little Q&A over some of the questions that I've gotten from some of you guys that I feel would definitely benefit other people as well. For today's Q&A, I feel like I'm going to do a lot of different varieties of questions. Although I feel like I do have enough to kind of either do a specific video dedicated to just questions about OT school. So, once you've gotten accepted. And I've also had a lot of questions over just the application process in general, to be able to do two completely separate and dedicated videos. So if those are two separate videos that is something that you may be interested in seeing me do, then let me know in the comments below. Also, we have hit our 100 subscriber mark to be able to kick off our giveaway, and all of the details and rules or things like that in terms of how to enter will be included at the end of this video, so make sure that you stick around to the end. Okay, but other than that, I'm going to jump into the first question and we'll get started. First question reads, hello, I'm currently a junior in college and want to pursue OT. However, I'm worried about going into debt. Do you have any advice? Please help. That is a great question, and that is something that I feel like everyone kind of takes into consideration when applying to just college in general, especially if you are coming out of undergrad, having a lot of maybe student debt. You're kind of thinking, should I take a couple gap years, maybe pay on it, or continue going? Or what are some of the things that I can do now to prepare in case if I do decide to go forward with graduate school? That's something that was definitely on my mind when I was thinking of, should I pursue a doctorate or should I pursue a master's? And from my research, I felt like I personally didn't see the benefit of doing a doctorate, at least right now, to where I was able to take advantage of some of the master's programs that are still being offered. However, I will say that whether or not I thought that I was going to be able to get accepted into OT school, it was still always in the back of my mind to be able to save, and anticipate how much money it takes to even apply, which was something that I didn't anticipate the first cycle. The applications aren't necessarily cheap, and if you plan to apply to multiple schools, it'll be smart on your part to save up as well. However, a lot of OT programs will push their students to either not work while in OT school, or will push them towards either more flexible or part-time work, just because the course load is rigorous and it's fast-paced, to where if you miss school because of work, you may be missing out on an important piece of information, or there's a lot of group projects in graduate school to where you just don't necessarily have as much time as you think you do. However, with that being said too, I have seen people still be able to work through graduate school. I have classmates that are sleep techs, that are PT, OT techs, caregivers, things like that, to where you're able to build your school schedule into your work schedule. And that's what I've seen be able to work a little bit more easily in terms of, trying to juggle both a full-time job and school. One other option that I would like to suggest, because I definitely didn't know about it when first applying to OT school, that I feel like would be a great stepping stone for somebody who maybe won't want to either take out another loan for school, or doesn't necessarily think that they'll be able to juggle the course load and work, is looking into OT bridge programs. There's not many left. However, I believe where I am in Texas, when I was first applying, there was only one left. But basically, it is where you can earn your certificate as an OT assistant and kind of work in transition to getting your license as an OT, being able to kind of get that OTA hands-on experience, as well as being able to work while in school. And it may be a little bit cheaper than the graduate level tuition rates, because it'll be offered at usually like smaller campuses or smaller schools. Definitely look into those bridge programs as well, and if they are still available, take advantage of it. So the next question reads, do you recommend uploading your coursework manually or paying the fee and having it done through OTCast? And that's a great question, and I feel like transcripts are always something that makes a lot of people nervous because, you know, you want your stuff to get there on time and you don't want it to get in the way of you submitting your application when you need it submitted. Yeah. So that's a great question. And just short answer, I will have to say, if you have the ability to invest in yourself and get OTCAS to just do it for you. I decided to enter mine manually when I first applied the first cycle. And what I found that caused a lot of my headaches and a lot of my other issues was because I wasn't knowledgeable in how they specifically wanted it entered. There was a constant back and forth process where, you know, I would enter in my coursework, but it wouldn't be approved because, you know, either I missed a number or, you know, I wasn't sure if they wanted the hyphen in some of the course codes. And it was just a huge mess to where I was basically experimenting and having to see, you know, did I do it right this time? And so I would have to submit it and see if it got approved through them, if that's how they wanted it entered. And then they would either say yes or no, and then they would bounce it back to me. And then, you know, I would have to fix it if there was an error. And then, you know, it was a constant back and forth. So the second time around when I applied, I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna pay for them to enter it and hopefully it'll be 100 times better. And it was. And if you can, like I said, because it's not cheap and it's not something that a lot of people can just blow money on. However, if that is one of the things that I do recommend is the professional transcript entry, because since the OTCAS staff know exactly how their system works and how they want it entered, let them do it. And then all you need to do on the back end is just verify that they have all of your prereqs that you want submitted to schools. And that was it. It was just that easy. I don't get any kickbacks from OTCAS at all. It's just something that I feel like made my life a whole lot easier. And I feel like will save you a lot of time when it comes to applying as well. So the next question reads, when did you ask for your letters of recommendation and from who? So for me, I decided to have 4 evaluators for my last cycle when applying. I ended up asking 2 OTs, as well as my principal from my school that I was working at, and a professor from my senior year of college that, you know, we had established a good relationship and I had kind of kept up with her during my gap years. So those were the 4 people that I decided to ask because I felt like they knew me enough to be able to speak about my work ethic, my professionalism, you know, my character and attributes and things like that, and what I could bring to the OT school program. So kind of keep those things in mind when choosing who to ask, especially if you're observing in a setting. For example, if you're observing an OT at a large hospital and you haven't been able to kind of establish a good relationship, so definitely be strategic in who you ask. You know, not everyone that you encounter will be your best evaluator. And so, you know, you kind of have to put yourself in the situation of who's going to be reading your letters of recommendation. Do you want to read about somebody who, you know, just wrote a generic letter of recommendation for this person and, you know, they really don't know much about you? Or are you going to want to read, you know, a very personalized one that, you know, speaks to all the high points of this person? So the last question reads, hey, I'm currently watching your OT personal statement video and it has helped me out a lot. You mentioned in your video that you took time off before OT school, which is what I'm doing. Do you mind sharing what you did during that time? This is also a question that I can just dedicate a whole video to as well, because I haven't done that before, so I may do that video in the future. If you want me to do kind of my OT journey or, you know, what drove me into OT, leave that in the comments also. But yeah, I'll just kind of short timeline it. So I graduated the spring of 2017 from Texas State, and I knew I wanted to go into OT. However, I knew that I wasn't wanting to apply right after graduation because I hadn't even started looking at GRE material. You know, I took a very rigorous last semester to where I wasn't able to study my last semester. And, you know, I just ultimately needed more time to prepare and put my best foot forward. So I waited a whole year before I decided to apply. And so what happened after that then was I was able to get a job as a special education aide, and I worked with the inclusion department of special education, which was something that I love. And again, if that's something that you're interested in, working with kids with special needs, or interested in school-based OT, I loved that job. And so what I did there was I would go into multiple gen ed classrooms where I had kiddos, you know, that may have had, you know, learning disabilities, you know, that were higher on the ASD spectrum, you know, even kids with like dyslexia or behavioral problems, things like that. And being able to see them in a more natural environment and seeing their struggles in terms of either being able to function or, you know, what are some of the areas that, you know, we may be able to work on to be able to make their educational experience a whole lot easier for them was very eye-opening for me, and it's still something that I'm passionate about when, you know, going forward in my OT journey, and is ultimately where I hope to see myself as well. But that's what I was doing while I was also applying. So although I didn't get in my first cycle, I was still gaining that relevant experience and hands-on experience with kids. So I was only at my school for 2 years, but like I said, I loved it. I loved every second of it. And during the summers, during my school years, I did do observation hours at my local clinics. So again, you know, when one thing ended, I was able to kind of pick it up where I left off, you know, in the clinic. So, you know, not only was I getting more community school-based experience, I was also getting, you know, outpatient experience as well. Other than that, after I got accepted, I started OT school fall 2019, and my anticipated graduation date is December 2021. And my fingers are crossed on that.
Okay, and as promised, here are the ways that you can enter the giveaway. First, make sure that you are following me on Instagram, and I will link my Instagram in the description box below. After that, be sure to like the giveaway post. And for extra entries, you can tag 2 friends in the description box of the post, and you can also share the post to your story. But other than that, those are some of the quick ways that you can earn your first entry and multiple entries on top of that. The giveaway will be available until a week from now. And yeah, here are just a couple of looks at some of the prizes. But other than that, that is it for me today, guys. Thank you so much again for the 100 subscribers. I can't wait to see who the winners are, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.